Welcome back, humans and mutants alike. My name is Kyle. I am once again with Danny. Not an X-Men, not a mutant, just a human,
An ex-fan.
an X-fan, yes. And we are once back again. Today we are talking Excalibur issue number 3. Last week we talked Marauders issue number 3. We learned a little bit about what's his name? The Black King's son.
Shinobi Shah.
Shinobi Shah. There we go. Thank you. Had a brain fart. Learned a little bit about him and all of Sebastian Shaw's ploys and intentions going forward. We're starting to see some scheming. We're starting to see some backdoor moves being made, which is interesting, right?
Malfeasances up
Yes.
the wazoo.
Up the wazoo, indeed. But today we aren't talking Marauders. We're talking Excalibur issue number 3. And before we get into this, let's talk about this cover, Danny.
Such a lovely embrace backed by the
It's
angriest
such-
faces. Like he's so
right?
lovingly just holding him close, and they're like passionate. It's like right out of Brokeback Mountain or something.
It is a beautiful moment between Richter and Apocalypse, embracing. Of course, Apocalypse is the big spoon. Of course.
He's telling Richter, he's like, I just can't quit you.
I just can't. Just hold me. Just hold me tight. Hold on. Don't let go.
Such an angry face on Apocalypse, though.
We got the flowers of Krakoa kind of
Which is
whispering in the
bizarre
wind.
because you think, okay, I get that that's supposed to be the symbolism of Krakoa, but it just looks like they're angrily attacking flowers.
Yeah, it's just like, die, flowers, die.
It's a very interesting cover. Apocalypse and Richter spooning while aggressively fighting against flowers.
Which is interesting because it seems like what's happening is what Richter says later on in this issue, but we don't actually see him go to Krakoa in this issue at all, right? They just go to, I guess, Krakoa adjacent, which is a part of London, right? Which is where we meet a character down the line. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get there.
I mean, really, to break this down, this is pretty much become the kind of motif that I've noticed that they're using on a lot of the issue illustrations and designs is that they go with this kind of symbolism that foreshadows or kind of illustrates in a funny way what the character is dealing with metaphorically almost. So it's like here, it's like, all right, they're essentially saying Apocalypse and Richter are standing side by side against Krakoa.
More or less.
More or less. Like, yeah, but it's like, it's still funny how they chose to illustrate that and show us that as the readers. I almost feel like, okay, so Hickman's head of X, so this is like kind of his privy. So I wonder if he's just like, yeah, this is how we're cleverly going to detail all of the issues, or if this is more like the illustrators individually all coming forward and like kind of saying like, let's do this theme, and everyone kind of take that narrative with it. But I mean, this is kind of one of the ones where it's like, I do dig it normally, but this is the one where I was like, this is kind of funny.
It's funny. It's
just funny.
It's funny.
In so many ways. And just
the metaphor works for sure, but that warm embrace, man.
The metaphor works, but it's ham-fisted. That is a very ham-fisted. Like, you didn't even need to be metaphorical.
No, it's somewhat literal.
I mean, one more step away from just them punching the dirt of Krakoa, like just literally fighting the island. Black BTC in the background, just like, oh, my friend,
no, what are you doing? I'll avenge you, Krakoa.
Douglas like, you can have him. I'm over him.
This is like, I don't need this anymore. I'm out. I'm going to space.
Like, good buddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Krakoa touched me in a way I don't want to talk about.
I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to do this. I love space. I went way into Shi'ar space just to get away from Krakoa. Fuck that.
Jeez. Yeah, what a way to start Excalibur.
Right? Yeah. It's a good start.
Got my attention.
Definitely, you have my attention, sir. You have my attention, Howard. But let's get into this. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Otherworld now. The new nation of Krakoa offers a promise of peace to mutant kind, but peace has been hard to come by. Apocalypse has declared his intentions to harness mutant magic, but not everyone is convinced, especially since His experiment seemed to put Rogue into a mysterious floral coma. Gotta love that term, floral coma.
Yeah. Wow. It's like daytime soap opera term, like right there.
Right?
Not a floral coma.
No. And war in Otherworld called Brian Braddock into battle against sorceress Morgan Le Fay. But when she possessed Brian, he used the last of his strength to bestow upon Betsy the mantle of Captain Britain. Now, to get Brian back, Captain Britain, that being Betsy, Gambit, and Jubilee have entered Otherworld, where anything can happen. And anything did happen. Shoga's a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
It's just straight up a dragon.
They say what happens in Otherworld stays in Otherworld, though. So
yeah, we don't talk.
You'll just be a dragon there.
Yes. So yeah, let's get into this. We cut to our buddy Richter. And the news is just kind of happening, talking about like putting like stricter regulations around like the portals. It's treating portals like pedophiles. They can't go near schools or churches.
Yeah, they don't want to. They're like, think about the children, and people are taking off their clothes in public and entering the portals, and it's just like, okay, that is kind of strange. You're right, but what are you gonna do? We got to remove them from our neighborhoods, but we got that as like kind of a backdrop to now Richter being brought up to speed with, like, he knows what's going on. This is to let us know that Richter is dealing with the fact that he's kind of stuck here on the opposite side of the mutant like populace, and he's not on Krakoa. He's still well within the thick of society trying to deal with all this fallout. So it's like you kind of get that moment of just like him looking at the window, looking at the kids playing, and like the dialogue that's going down, and you get the feeling that Richter is like a man without a country because like he's trapped because of the limitations of his mutant power is apparently not working properly, which I didn't know. I didn't know that. Going into this, I was surprised. I was like, oh, so Richter's powers are like malfunctioning. Like, there's always some mutant that has that issue, but I didn't know he was currently the one that was kind of having that problem.
Right. I didn't know that either. I know that he goes like kind of uncontrollable when he's angry or like loses like his temper and stuff like that, but I don't. Do you know what caused this? I haven't read anything recently with Richter. What's the last thing you've seen Richter in?
Oh gosh, there was some stuff probably like about a decade ago I remember him popping up in, but I mean, like I said, I'm back in the, like I told you way earlier, like my most vivid memory of Richter is like X-Men Evolution and
X-Men
that really
Evolution.
Terrible fucking costume that he rocked. But I mean, his powers are probably, I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess, his powers are malfunctioning probably due to some sort of emotional state of stress or emotional damage, because that's how it always is. Oh, your powers are malfunctioning. This is the motif we use to illustrate that mutants are dealing with emotional turmoil.
Yes, and we're definitely seeing that. Look at the room. There's trash everywhere. There's beer bottles everywhere. Clearly not in a good state. Yes.
I wanted to be at a party last night, but I know it was just him.
Look at that. Look at that house. Look at that. Like, it looks like a tiny studio. He ain't getting. No, he might have a friend or two in there. There's no couch. Like, there's no.
Where
do you hang?
Like, yeah, and he's just longingly staring at these children playing soccer, which I can get the sadness and separation, but also like conceived as, or I guess perceived as a bit creepy.
A little bit.
Just standing there in his pajamas, just like longingly looking at these kids, just all those beer bottles around. You're like, what? Comes outside and accidentally starts a quasi earthquake.
Yes. Yeah. So it just takes one step, one tiny little step, and an earthquake begins to happen, and the kids kind of panic. They're like, "Whoa!" And he's just like, "Nah, fuck this." And he's just mad. He's just like, "I can't even put my fucking feet on the ground." And he's
oh man.
Mad. He's getting mad. I thought he was going to flip the table. He did not, though. So I'm proud of him.
That symbolism again. He literally can't put his feet on the ground. Yeah. Love it. Oh, that's great. And then he looks like he's been trolling a bunch of like mutant chat rooms or something like that. Yes. Or like forums about like, people, like he's going on like Mutant MD where he's like, how do you deal with power fluctuation?
Right. It's great. But before we talk about this website he goes on, look at this bottom panel where he's starting to go on the computer, but we also see we see the TV and we just see these guys stripping naked and going into the Kraken portal. It's great. I love this. This is like just stripping us like, I'm going. We're doing this. Woo!
Yeah, man. Because they mentioned that in like the newscast earlier when they were closing out. They were talking about like they're streaking and stripping near schools and children and churches and stuff. So now at least you get to see that on the TV where you're like, oh, they weren't just being like, hyperbolic or anything.
Oh no. Oh no,
People are really stripping down and running through the portals.
Yes, they are.
It's a
Yes.
very weird thing. Like, I wonder why. Like, is it just like supposed to be like rebirth or like the liberation?
Let's move on. All of a sudden he just hears a voice. He hears his name, and it says go away, and he just gets his powers kind of go off again.
Yeah, like he's having a breakdown. Like it's weird too because he has that room filled with all that dirt and stuff, and like he has like these weird fail safes he seems to have set up, like some sort of, I guess, like a counteractive when he's like having like he can't really control his power, so he jumps in like a coffin, almost like with Dracula trying to run from the sunlight. He rolls around in dirt to try to combat it. It was very bizarre.
Is that what that is? Is that dirt?
That's what it looks like because there's like notice that there are like potted plants or plant pots just turned over on their side and they have soil coming out of them.
Yes. Okay.
It's such a weird. I mean,
I
guess that's what they're going for because it's like he controls Earth and stuff, and maybe that gives him calmness or allows him to like channel it. But it's like interesting the way they're showing him trying to like cope with this. It's a very bizarre concept, but I can loosely see what they're going for.
I get it. He has this coping mechanism. It seems to work for him.
His stress ball.
It just seems like it would cause, like, if he touches dirt, it seems like it would cause. I guess it's because it's like this padded, insulated box.
Yeah, maybe because his powers are just being localized in like a conduit. Like these are like it's like a conduit. Like if you maybe have like too much
Faraday box almost.
Yeah, like a Faraday box. Like if you were a mutant with electric powers, and you were giving off too much discharge, you'd create like a makeshift Faraday box to live in. Like this is his Earth version of that. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a reference. I mean, because like let's be real, Richter, gosh, he's from like '87, right? Like he's an old one.
Yeah, he's pretty old.
Yeah, it's like the Walt and Louise Simonson like joint like brought him forward when they were doing their iteration of like the Brotherhood of Mutants. So he's got 30 plus years of actual story. So there's probably a throwaway story where they're like, well, Richter can like discharge his power into like a box of sand, or something. So yeah, that's probably why they lean on this because I feel like Hickman pulls from a lot of stuff like that, and the people that he has writing underneath him kind of follow toe in toe with that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I dig it. I dig what they're doing here. I dig this struggle. It's a little ham-fisted. I think the cover just really set off a bad tone for him at this point. I'm still thinking of that cover. Thinking of that cover.
Yeah, it definitely kind of raised the bar too high on absurdity and then followed through with like seriousness, and you're just like, oh, all right. I get it. Richter's in a bad place.
Right. But then we go to this mutant MD that you mentioned. What is it? mutantsunmuted.com/q/Krakoa.
Like the subreddit.
Right? You think this website works? I wonder if this really works.
I wonder too. You want me to look that up when you go through this?
All right, yeah. Look it up. I'm gonna go through this. So I'll just go through a couple of them. My favorites were like looking for a dog sitter for 1 week in Krakoa trip. Can't take your dogs? That's interesting. Dogs can't go through the portal. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tampons on the island. By far my favorite. It's a good question. Is there tampons on the island? I'm going to say yes.
I mean, aren't there enough mutants that could just create tampons or create something akin to that?
I imagine they have some type of, it's a whole nation state. They have to have industry or trade, right?
They got to have some sort of like local bodega where you could just pick up like tampons.
Exactly. Yeah.
The website just goes to nothing. I typed into Google and it was just like, what do you want?
Well, that was a missed opportunity, Marvel, and I'm disappointed. No, that's expected, actually.
South Park did that though, where you like the episode last season where you can call in and like they had like a response Like you literally called the number and there was already like a recorded voice that like picked up and you could interact with it with like the dial pad and stuff.
Yeah. Spider-Man did that too. Far From Home with the dailybugle.net. You could go there and it's just crazy like Alex Jones style conspiracy theory videos. They even put up like a Are Vampires Real, I think recently article
Oh, going off
like
of
kind of
Morbius.
yeah, doing a Morbius thing. Which
Okay.
is interesting. Good marketing.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Any soccer teams on the island? Anyone want to start one? Someone's really into soccer.
Yeah, they seem like they were pushing like that. They're like, hey, like, why don't we at least get a team going? Like, this is like a weird meeting, like a college like poster board where you just post whatever shit. You're just like looking for a roommate, try to start a local soccer team, offering like guitar lessons, all those kind of dumb things.
Yeah. But we go to the bottom, which is the message that Richter left. Power amplification dulling on the island. And this is totally Reddit, right? Because he's just like, hey, this is a throwaway account. I just wanted to know if like controlling your powers got easier when you got to the island. Can you maintain it? Can you control it? Has it gotten worse? What's up? And someone responds, and he's like, that's vague. What's your powers, yo? Can you tell me so we could help? And he's just like, I'd rather not. It's really weird. He shuts it down quick. No memes, no weird dad puns, no infinite threads of stupidness. Just a quick and to the point thread. And then she's all like, "Is there someone, or he or she or some?" The person responding is there someone you could take with you your first time to hold your hand just in case something bad happens? And he's just like, "No, thanks, anyways." So that was, I guess, not too important. I mean, we kind of got that from his struggle, right?
Yeah, it
More or
kind of felt like
less.
they just doubled up on the narrative. But
Yeah.
oddly enough, I got a little curious and I looked. There is a subreddit for mutants unmuted on Reddit. So there may
Really?
not there's not a website, but there is a subreddit and it is already existed and it's popping. So
All right. I might have to spend my night there. Check
yeah,
this out.
I'll throw it down and link it to you after this. But yeah, I was like, you know what? There's probably not there wouldn't be a website, but maybe there would be a Reddit or a subreddit because there's pretty much a parody here of Reddit, so why not? And I looked and sure enough, there it is. It's a very strange
Interesting.
concept. It's a very meta concept. I like it. It's like a Reddit parody became a subreddit in itself. Oh.
My sister keeps talking about Hexma. Smoking flowers ain't illegal. This is a weird subreddit,
Oh
but it
yeah,
makes sense.
the
It's just like
content is out there.
random like it's like showered thoughts, questions about Krakoa. It's just all like, does like does my poop decompose on Krakoa? Is it if it's a human? Is Krakoa eating it? Like random stupid thoughts like that. A
But
bunch of
let's be
those.
real, like this subreddit that they are showing in the comic form kind of felt like it was going that way anyways.
Yeah.
Tampons on the island? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like we're not too far from that.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
liked it though. And like I
It's
was
good.
saying before we jumped into this, this was it kind of harkens back to that text message between Kitty and Bishop, where it's just kind of a very surreal, a very like real moment, very
Mhm.
contemporary real moment that like
Yeah.
these are old X-Men comics, but they're dealing with like real mentalities, current
Yeah.
time technologies.
Yeah. It's interesting. And it's cool. It's good to see that because that's life now.
And it's immersion. It's like good
Yeah.
reader immersion.
Yeah, it's good. But from there, we cut to Camelot, and we are met once again with Morgan Le Fay. Um, and she's just like, she wants her mirror. She's talking about, she's trying to get, what's her name? Marion Stern, right? Trying
Yeah.
to Skype call her Marion Stern, which
She's
is the cult member of Akaba, right?
yeah, the leader,
Cousin
the
Akaba.
one remaining
Yeah.
member, I
The
think.
one she killed, she pretty much Seuss killed
Yeah.
all her members,
Yeah.
and
Morgan is pissed at her gardener. She's like, "Hey, dude, like,
oh
why are
yeah,
these why are these branches and flowers still here?" And he's like, "We're doing our best to remove them, but they just keep growing back. There's too many, ma'am."
it doesn't stop.
She's like, "Fuck this, give me my mirror."
Yeah, and I love that she refers to mutants as witch breed.
Yeah,
which is great. It kind of goes back to like that old like back in the
Marvel.
day when they didn't know like mutants and stuff like that. They just referred to them as like witches.
Yeah, exactly. They always do it in like the older Marvel stories, like Marvel 1602. Like they
Yeah,
all referred them as they didn't ever use the term mutants. Everyone just said witch breed.
witch breed. Yeah,
She even calls her out on that when she's like, "We don't call them here. We call them witch breed. We don't know what mutants are, madam." She talks
yeah.
over her ear literally.
It's great. And essentially, she's just so like she finds out that the source of these is Apocalypse, right?
Well, she's trying to think that she's trying to allude to it, where she's like,
yeah,
I believe she's trying to suss it out, and she's grilling this lady because she's like, you used to have ties to Apocalypse, and she's like, we have outlived he has outlived his usefulness to us, and we have now transcended him. And she's like, we'll see what happens in the end if there's any truth to that. But while they're discussing it, Shogo shows up in his dragon form, just like literally
straight
casts a
up.
giant shadow over the mirror and Morgan Le Fay and her castle essentially.
It's great. Um, and yeah. Is there anything else to take away from their conversation? She's talking about meeting the new Captain Britain at one point, and that she's just a mere mortal, and blah blah blah.
I think yeah, that was more of just like her complaining about why things were getting held up because she had a little bit of a hang up with their run-in. And that's just kind of her like expressing like, we're trying to deal with this too and help you and work with you, but Captain Britain's on the case now and it's kind of becoming difficult. And
Exactly.
Morgan's like, I don't want to hear excuses, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh shit, dragon.
Oh, and he's just a flyby. Yeah. Just does a quick flyby real quick. Nothing too fancy. And then reports back to the gang. The gang who's just hanging out.
He's their scout. He's the group scout.
He's pretty much the scout, right? And we got Jubilee kind of concerned, right?
Yeah, because she doesn't like the fact that Shogo's pretty much one, a dragon, two, in like the front lines, and three, like constantly like getting put in, well, not necessarily more of the danger thing, but constantly like out of her control because of the dragon form that he's in. So she just feels like the helplessness that she feels is kind of bothering her. But they're reeling her in. It's fucking Remy though. That's like he's fucking breaking at the coming apart at
Yeah.
the seams here.
He's coming apart. Last week we saw him super down, super depressed. This week he's super like impatient, aggro. He's just like Shogo. Why would we give a fuck about Shogo? What about freaking Rogue and her lighthouse form? That's not even her final form, I'm sure. What do we do about her? And then Captain Britain's just like Betsy's just all like she's fine. It's these humans in this world that we need to be concerned about, right?
Yeah, it's like you got to focus on the now. Like no one's gonna mess with her. He's worried about Apocalypse, but she's like, in reality, she's probably safer there than here. Like we're taking on some stuff that we don't really know, and
Yeah.
it could turn bad real quick. So I mean, she quashes like all of Jubilee's issues real quick by just telling her Shogo's fine and having a great time. And she talks some sense into Remy and says like, we got a mission to do. Like you got to deal with it. But he uses like the most broken like Creole like to kind of
Dude, it
like
took me, yeah.
argue with her.
I was telling you this earlier. Like, I need subtitles for him sometimes. I need, I need to read the sentence a couple times. And like,
Yeah,
what?
right? Like you read it out loud and you're like, oh, I get what he's saying. Okay, like I get the inflection. Like it's just kind of funny when
Yeah,
you try to read it in his accent too. And it just sounds funny.
it
Like
sounds.
some people when they write for Gambit, they really take liberties with his accent. Like sometimes he's pretty coherent with just a tinge of like that little bit of Bayou, and then other
Right.
times he's like, you can't understand what I'm saying. this is
um,
this is print. Like I can't determine things very well in print. Like you gotta help me.
right. I think we could use our imaginations.
Yeah, that's the best we could do.
I
I mean,
feel like it,
it's
but
still
whatever.
they write it like gibberish. It's still gonna read like gibberish.
Let's talk about Gambit's coat. We touched on it a little bit last issue, but what do you think of this like Assassin's Creed style jacket he's rocking these days?
Oh, I dig the design in it, and I kind of like had that like oh shit moment when he made a joke about like we're wandering around here in this fantasy land, and he makes that comment about like, are we gonna level up or something? And I'm just like, oh yeah, Gambit, you've been taking levels in Rogue since you got that dope ass like cloak and stuff and that coat.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the some of the artwork options in this are very inspiring and kind of like motivating to see more of like where these characters go in their development. But then you have like stuff like the cover that just like concern me.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
Um,
but individual character design, I'm all jazzed about. Like all of this has been great, even with Captain Britain's weird helmet up the side.
yes. Oh yeah, we're gonna.
Which no, she's not really rocking it. You noticing that?
Nope. No,
Except for
not
maybe
working.
like the fight, but most of the time she's like, nope, I won't wear
Keep it
it.
off. Yeah, keep it off. It's doing good for you. Your hair looks great.
Yeah. Nope.
But then we get like Betsy kind of she's using her psychic energy to read Shogo's mind, and he's just like, yo, he wants to fly us there. And he's like, he's what? She's like, he's what? It's great.
I picture like Falcor, he's like, wee.
Yeah, and this next image is great with the like elongated like neck and this weird like 45-degree angle from like the corner. It's great.
Yeah,
I dig that.
tail
Like
slipping in on the end, yeah.
yeah, where you see like the entire length of the dragon, and they're going on a ride. Woo! Like you said, never-ending story style.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's great. We got like Jubilee being very mom-like. It's like you can put us down if you want. You don't have to carry us. And then what did she say? If you see a ballista, steer far away. What's a
Just like
ballista?
joking. A ballista is like a giant oversized crossbow that's like used for siege weaponry.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like if like a crossbow was wielded by a giant.
Nice.
I mean, good for puncturing things if you want to like poke a hole and stuff, but overall destructive purpose, you're gonna do better with like a trebuchet or like a catapult.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I always wanted to know the names of those. I just called them giant crossbows.
Don't get me started on medieval to dark age siege weaponry. I played a lot of Age of Empires and Total War.
Yeah, good times indeed. But we're pretty much reassuring Jubilee that Shogo's not going to get hurt, and he'll be fine. And then we get Betsy in this nice, iconic kind of looking off into the distance pose, holding that fucking helmet though.
Yep. It's the one thing that everything else was really dope, especially with Shogo in the background, like with the wings spread. Like, oh man, kind of reminded me like when Batman would jump into a scene and he'd fuck shit up. Like it had that kind of feel. But then you see that helmet and you're just like, and it's not just Betsy. It looks bad on Brian. It looks bad on anyone.
It's not a great helmet, guys.
Not a great helmet. It's like they took loosely the Captain America like mask idea and then they like crossed it with like a luchador mask and then turned it Brit. It's like if Captain Britain was like a parody of a Mexican wrestler. Just that happens to be there, and he's like, "I'm from Britain. I'm El Brito, El Britano." Yeah. But I mean, everything else was cool. Like the action when they flew in, and like, oh, the like Gambit blows up a building, takes it down. All the guys are freaking out. Betsy's confused because she can read minds, but she can't control it. Jubilee's like, "Little help here. Maybe you can turn a few of these guys on her side." And she's like, "I can't." Read their minds, but I can't push them into anything. This is fucked.
Right.
Like, oh, so the fight starts getting a little tough because they're like getting overloaded.
Yeah.
She makes a comment about their like them not being normal humans either. Like there's something magical afoot that's like interfering with their true minds. So she said something
right?
like
Because she's talking about to Brian, right?
Yeah. Well, also like just trying to like impact the knights all around her, like with her telekinetic or
psychic. When the fight breaks out and whatnot. Yeah. But let's go back to this after that, as they're heading towards the castle, we cut to Brian as the Black Knight, kind of chained up with this mask on. What do you think of that panel?
Kind of reminded me of like Braveheart, where he's like screaming "Freedom!"
Oh yeah.
It's a clink, clink, clink. You can see the chains making noises and shit. That was pretty funny. But yeah, it was an interesting panel. It was definitely. I mean, I still feel like his rhetoric that he's saying was kind of a little. I guess it works because he's being controlled, but it still felt kind of funny, like like he was too robotic with it. But I mean, him being controlled in a weird, like magical way would explain that kind of that zombie-like mentality. It was just funny to read it.
Yeah, I do like the panel all the way at the bottom where he's just like, "Bring me my sister, bring me that pretender," and then we get the shadow of Shogo, which is pretty awesome.
Great, that was a beautiful illustration.
I dig it, but he does seem kind of like he's a one-note kind of villain.
Yes, very one-dimensional. Very one-dimensional.
It's like you ever watch like those pitch meetings from Screen Rant where it's just all like, so what's the bad guy? He's just like, oh, he's evil, and it's just like, oh, that's as far as it goes. He's just evil. That's what I get. He's just like a one-dimensional evil guy right here.
Brian Braddock Bash.
Yeah.
It's so levels to this guy.
So many levels. But then we get the attack. We get Shogo coming in, and then we get this kind of everyone kind of dives down, assaults, and this is a great panel. We get Shogo kind of in the background flying off, and we get Betsy. I mean, sans the helmet. This panel is probably the key artwork for the issue, I would say. Very standout moment. We get everyone on full assault here. We got Gambit shooting some cards. We got Betsy with a sword, psychic sword and shield. I'm digging the shield more these days. Digging the shield more.
I do like her new design a lot more, actually, for how she uses her powers.
Yeah. And we got Jubilee shooting fireworks.
Yep. She's been going hard since the 90s.
Yeah. And I dig this, like right as they take their assault, we hear them, they're like, witch breeds, stay away from their magic. And then we get Gambit just all like, oh, this ain't magic, but you definitely want to stay away.
And he blows up that building.
And then he blows it up.
Wow. Yeah, it was real subtle in the background.
You see just the explosion in the background as Betsy and Jubilee keep assaulting, which is great. But she's kind of overwhelmed, right, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah, her psychic powers don't seem to be connecting with them in a way where she can control them, but she can't read their surface thoughts. Her telepathy is working, but her mind control, to an extent, is not.
Yes. And as they're getting overwhelmed, we get like Jubilee just talking about Shogo not getting hurt again, right? A little bit.
Yeah, because they're like, slay the dragon. We've all fought dragons before.
Yes.
We are men of Camelot. And she's like, you stay away from my boy.
Stay away from my baby.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that they're all like, well, we can't kill these witch breeds. Dragon?
Yeah, exactly. And then in the thick of all that, Betsy gets brought down by some random dude.
Yeah, just like whacked in the back. Is he stabbed in the back? What's happening? I don't know.
He just like hit her in the back and she fell and then looked up and then Brian's there with his crew. That's a pretty badass shot too. Kind of like that last one where he was in like the chains. This is like another point of view. And see, now that's a good contrast. We were looking down on him from that, and now he's looking down on her from his point of view. That's a good change.
Oh yeah, this is good. I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's a great
like contrast of location.
Great artwork. Just the composition itself is telling a good story.
Yeah, it drives you around like the progression and your eyes follow it very well.
Yes, and essentially he's just like slay the pretender. He keeps calling her the pretender, I assume because she's a fake. He refers to her as a fake Captain Britain, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's trying to. I think it's more of like a dark jab where he's like, you will never be the true Captain Britain, like trying to like demoralize her while fighting her.
Yeah, and then we get this moment where she's just like, "Oh my God, my beautiful brother, what have they done to you?" And then she just goes in. Even we get a Gambit.
My beautiful brother, was my boy,
my boy, my beautiful brother boy. Oh, that's great. I don't know. That was just such a weird moment.
Yeah, it was an interesting like way for her to explain that.
Yeah, and we just get this back and forth, the pretty generic, pretty cliche. This is not you. Look inside you. Please talk to me. He's like, nah, bro. And we get a little back and forth between them. And she even gives into it, right? She's like, I am the pretender. I am not the real Captain Britain. That's you. Just come back to us. And what happens? She's kind of losing her powers, or kind of. It's cool. We get this like her swords kind of like falling or failing a little bit.
Yeah, like it's like that like lightsaber struggle you would see in like a movie, like climactic point, but like it's like the power's cutting out. You're like, oh
Yeah,
no. And luckily Gambit steps in because apparently, well, and Shogo with the save too, but
and
Gambit
sure.
grabs her and Shogo like gives him an exit by just throwing down some really cool like green fire. I like this fire's green. I feel like it adds to the like as a
I
complement to
dig
the
it. Oh
blue.
yeah, yeah. I'm in. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. It
Because
looks
if it
like
was just red fire, then it's like, oh wait, like this is kind of like lucky.
it'll be like red. The whole panel will be like super red. I guess it would work if you do it like monochromatic.
Yeah,
But the green is a good contrast, especially with like Betsy right there, all in red.
yeah.
So it
Let's
works.
get it the black. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the black, which he's like reflecting green off of his like highlights and his armor. Still covered in shadows a lot though.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of that subterfuge. It's on lent from Magneto.
Subterfuge. Yeah, he's just like I learned. I know
He
what's
cornered the
up.
market. He sells subterfuge.
Yeah, he does.
Oh man.
And then we get Gambit. He's just like Dragonfire is a hell of a distraction, huh?
On.
And Mon, yeah, none. Um, yeah, I'll never get used to reading that. I always get caught up. I always get caught up. Um,
I
but
do like
then
how he called her Capitan earlier.
Capitan, yeah, he's like Capitan,
Capitan.
yeah.
uh,
And then we get another kind of clue. It's unfortunate that the artwork in the battles are great, but this dialogue is just so generic. And we get like Shogo hopping in, Gambit's like, "We gotta go," and Betsy kind of fighting it. It's like, "No, we can't leave him. He's my baby brother. He's my boy."
but then he also says this. There are well, actually Morgan Le Fay and then Betsy have that weird like back and forth from like one reluctant warrior queen to another. Long may we reign, and I'm like, what is Betsy gonna reign over? She's not
Right?
in it for like any kind of like monarchy or like kind of like actual like royalty. She just wants her brother back.
Yeah.
I like how Morgan's like looking at this like she's fighting this grand battle against Britain, and it's like
Right.
Betsy's like, no, I'm just here to try
That's
to
not
save
me, man.
Brian. Like, what are you interpreting on this? Like,
Yeah, I
you
don't
have
give
beef
a
with
fuck.
me, but it's wrong. Like, wrong beef, man.
It's weird, right? It's like
Yeah.
you stole the guy. Who cares? I don't care. I'm just trying to get the guy who cares to come back to hurt you to do the thing again.
Yeah. Just go take on Queen Elizabeth. She sits in her throne. If you have a problem with England, go bother
Yeah,
England
this is
or
not
take
my
it up with the
deal,
pop.
man.
Like,
I'm not even a part of your country anymore. I left. I'm a part of Krakoa.
yeah, Apocalypse is fucking with you, not me. Like, Jesus, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Give me Brian back.
But she's like, "Long may we reign," and she cheers. She cheers to her. She's off in the distance. She's having a moment. It's weird,
Yeah, she's playing some Game of Thrones shit with this, and Betsy's just like, I don't even know what's going on.
right? But we cut from that to a kind of a release, right? For immediate and official release to MI13 and Intelligent Partners, Project Black Air et al. Now, we're going to learn about a character who was a part of MI6, which everyone knows MI6, right? But MI13 is kind of like the MI6 for like paranormal and magic stuff, right?
I believe that that's also supposed to be connected to Black Air, which is that's a Warren Ellis like
Yes.
brainchild. He threw that together back when he was doing Excalibur for a while.
Right.
Good Warren Ellis, which is also kind of a thing you get echoed here because like the list of the names, like at first you recognize them and you're like, okay, well they're dealing with the Braddock family, but then you see other people on the list, you're like, why are they here? And you're like, oh yeah, they were in Excalibur and they were tied to like
Yeah.
Black
From the
Air
old
and
days.
MI13.
Because
But yeah,
we got Kurt Wagner on the list. We got a bunch of old people.
Rachel Summers,
Rachel
yeah.
Summers, yeah.
That's great. That's old school Excalibur, yeah.
Exactly, but this is just kind of like a document kind of monitoring people who have been accessing Otherworld and other known Otherworld assets, right?
Right.
So
I like
these
that dossier from like a Desk of X. Like this
Desk
is
of
like the
X,
British
yeah, it's
version.
kind of like that. Yes, and then we get so we get a list of everyone on this team: Morgan Le Fay, and we also get, as you said, the old cast as well. We get Kitty Pryde, Courtney Ross, Rachel Summers, and Kurt Wagner on top of Jamie Braddock and the gang.
No Juggernaut. I'm sad.
No Jugs. Yeah.
He was a paramount and pivotal member of original Excalibur. I'm sad.
He's still
He's the
trying.
Juggernaut, bitch.
He's the Juggernaut.
Put him in there. He's a
Right?
force to be reckoned with.
He
Then
is
again, I don't know if
literally a
he's even
magic
on the
user.
table anymore.
Right? What's up with him? I don't think someone's gonna resurrect him eventually.
We're looking at you, Hickman. Solo Juggernaut series. Make it happen.
And then at the bottom of the note, we just kind of engage carefully. It's just kind of warning. Take extreme caution when you engage. Do not engage mutants alone. Partnership is accountability, Danny.
True.
Indeed. But we cut to the Rogue Lighthouse. What's the lighthouse called again? I forgot the name of it, but it's a kind of a resting home for like Captain Britain and mutants. Even last issue we had Apocalypse mentioning it. I didn't come to help you because he like came and helped them, and he's like, I came to help this monument that is kind of like a historical monuments to the mutant kind.
To those fucking like 2 mutants that he let drown. Like that's what it is. he literally went like 15 feet away from him or 15 yards. And he watched them drown, and he's like, I let him drown, but I'll build this lighthouse to remember them. I'm like, what is this? This is like I felt like a Phil Collins in the Air of the Night moment. Where it's like, what are you talking about? You're a dick, Apocalypse.
You're such a dick.
I love mutants, but helping them swim, not on me. Sorry.
Oh, no, if you can't swim, that's on you.
But then I kind of also agree with them because they did drown, like, not very far from the shore. Like, it didn't seem like they got too far and then we're just done. But then maybe that was like that movie Castaway where he had the hardest time just getting over like the break and like how the water would keep him back because of the waves. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was, but still, like, he still watched them drown, so... Guess whatever.
Interesting.
This is their monument.
Yeah. This is their monument to people I didn't give a fuck about. But we cut to Apocalypse, and he's kind of, we see the Grimmery in action, right? We've seen in the past notes of Grimmery, right? Which is just Apocalypse like talking about like his experiments and like what he's trying to do, right? And we see him just as like Grimmery. Begin recording. It's like Alexa, right?
Yeah, it's a memo.
Take a memo. Yes. And he's just kind of pondering like magic and like how the gates and like work and how they're working in the other world, right?
But not just any magic. Mutant magic.
Mutant magic specifically, yeah.
He specifically refers to it as mutant magic. So it's like our magic is more superior than your magic because it's mutant magic.
Right. Yeah. Where was I going with this? And then I'm interested in these stones that he's like calling fickle. Are these remnants of these of what we've seen in Powers of X in year 1000? No, not year 1000, year 100. Remember the memory card crystals that we saw?
I know these crystals. One of those has a recording from Jor-El for his son to know his origins off of. Yes. I recognize this is right out Fortress Sawtooth.
Apocalypse deleted that, reused it, recorded over it.
Who the fuck is Kal-El? I know a guy named Cal Arc. Maybe they're related.
Maybe. What a ripoff
But yeah,
that
it
was, by the way.
seems like it's kind of going down that road. Like it kind of has that similarity to their like we got these data crystals and they're how we use media nowadays. Apocalypse is like already 1,000 years ahead of the curve.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He knows what's up. He's had time to ponder and think about life. He saw nations rise and fall. But he is just like, he needs a focus, right? That is superior and a master of stone itself, as he says himself. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go on a trip.
And then you're like, oh, Master of Stone. So we just weren't getting updated on Richter. He has a purpose. What
He
a
has
surprise.
a purpose. Who would have thought, except for anyone looking at that warm embrace on the cover? Yeah. I mean, this would have worked if it wasn't for that cover. I'm telling you, this is actually a really great issue. And that cover is kind of bringing it down. Yeah.
Ah, Jesus.
Oh, you Swayze'd the cover of your X-Men. You never go full Swayze. Oh, man. That is funny. But yeah, he goes on a trip and he goes through the Central Park Krakoan portal and he's just walking. He's clearly on a mission, just walking, not paying attention to everyone. People around him are paying attention though.
Oh shit, son, Apocalypse.
It's like, oh shit, is that Apocalypse? Right?
Like that dude fell. Like they're trying to help him up. He's just like, fuck, man, get your camera out. Other people are like, get your shit, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And then we see him walk over to the kids playing soccer, and that means only one thing. He's heading straight towards Richter, and we don't even see him approach the building. We just see darkness. And then Apocalypse just rips that darkness open. We're seeing Richter's perspective hidden in darkness in this coffin box he created for himself, and he's just like, Apocalypse? What's going on? He's like, I'm coming to take you. Just like I'm coming to get you.
He's coming to get you, Richter. They're coming to get you.
Coming to get you.
Oh man, what a way to like be woken up by like anyone,
right?
Would be crazy, but for it to be Apocalypse, it's just like holy shit, and such a badass way, just through the top aside, just one hand, nothing.
Yeah, just straight up, we're going right now. You need to pack your bags.
Your kids, Richter. There's something that has to be done about your kids.
The future.
Yeah. But he's actually pretty comforting. Like Apocalypse takes a very
surprisingly,
like I guess you would say analytical and kind of psychiatrist approach where he's like trying to be therapeutic in how he approaches Richter. Yes. But I mean, he could be, still playing the role of like snake water salesman or firewater salesman.
Absolutely. There could be ulterior motives and probably the case for sure. But who knows? But yeah, he's just comforting him, right? He's like, come. There's nothing you could break that I cannot fix. And he extends his arm out to Richter. And it's a weird cut because they just instantly cut from there, right?
Yeah, you didn't see any problems with him stepping out or anything.
Nope. Like I would have liked to see him like take his hand and then like see that like circle back around to like that first or second page where he's taking a step out and then maybe he's able to do so or something like that. But no, we cut straight to Krakoa, but not Krakoa, Cornwall, England, right? Which is technically
it's like a quasi Krakoan post because it's now being kind of infused with the Krakoan I guess you could say greenery and root structure, so it's kind of a little bit Krakoa.
Yes.
It's like Krakoa light.
And I love that the first thing that Richter's just like, hey, I heard there was a party. Where's the party?
This is not the Krakoa I heard about.
Yeah, I heard you guys party every day in that one courtyard. You resurrect at 5 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock, everyone parties. It's like a daily thing. It's great. Where's this at? Where's the bitches?
This is not anything cool at all. Like this is just an empty island with a lighthouse.
He seems disappointed. He's definitely disappointed. He's like, I was told there was a party. What the hell? The artwork here is kind of weird too at the top of the panel where we kind of see, I get where they're going, the wide super perspective where you can't even see his arm, but at the same time,
portal.
Yeah.
Oh, but you thought he was an amputee at first.
Yeah. Yes.
First time I read this, I was like, wait, did Richter lose his arm at one point? And I had to like double back, and I was like, oh no, he does have his arm. They're just cutting it off. I thought I just never noticed. Like I thought maybe that's why Richter's sad his powers don't work, is that he lost his arm and he's coping with it. It took one panel, like literally, to throw me off my like understanding of like who Richter physically was. But yeah, they could have done that way different.
And then we get a voice just saying, "You're not Captain Britain." And Richter's just all like, "Yeah, he's a little paler." And then we get, who do we get, Danny?
Oh my gosh! Well, we get the MI13 agent himself, Pete Wisdom.
Pete Wisdom has no reason to show off his blades, but he's doing so.
You don't know if it's Pete Wisdom until he gives you his finger blades.
It's true.
It's my finger blades.
Look at my finger blades. Pete Wisdom. What can you say about Pete Wisdom? Worked for Scotland Yard, worked for MI6, and then eventually joined Black Air, which then he started to be a part of MI13, right?
Yeah, he was another one of those Warren Ellis joints from back in '95.
Yeah,
they threw him out. He was just. Pete Wisdom is such a weird character. He's cool because of his ties, and he's like that kind of badass, like secret agent James Bond type. Like it's the closest thing to James Bond being a mutant kind of situation.
That's pretty much what they're going for. Yeah,
yeah.
James Bond mutant.
Yeah, but it's like his fire blades are really like they're probably no more impressive than like claws on like Sabretooth, you know. It's if they're fire. So
yeah.
Or are they more like hot? They're like like an Evangelion, those vibro knives that they use. Like I think it's something more akin to that. They're like an actual like fire source. They're more just heat through like friction.
Wiki fandom, Marvel wiki fandom refers to them as hot knives.
Yeah.
So he could absorb ambient heat and solar radiation and release the absorbed energy from his fingertips as a semi-solid projection called hot knives.
Oh, I didn't even know he could absorb it. I thought it was just an innate thing he did.
Yeah.
Just regardless. But
go ahead.
Well, did you know that regular Wikipedia says that he's great at leaping? So
well, there you go.
They noted that under his powers and ability. Does that mean he's on Batroc, the leaper level?
Right?
Like they should have a fight to see who's the best, you know?
Right?
Who can leap?
Let's do it. I want to see that Hot Knives versus Batroc, Pete Wisdom versus Batroc. Let's see it. Who's gonna win? No one wants to see that.
But yeah, it's such a comic book ending where he's got his like hot knives out and it's aggressive. But next like issue of Excalibur, they're gonna be sitting down drinking coffee and just chit chat.
Yeah.
Pete Wisdom, see it. Oh, hey man, how you been,
hey.
Richter? I heard you went through some stuff. You got power problems. And like how did they get to that portal? Still like bothering me. Like how did they get to the portal if he can't touch the ground without causing an earthquake?
Maybe that's what the cover is. The cover is the struggle, the walk from
it's like that
house.
movie. What was it? The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner. He's like
carrying him. Up. Yeah.
It's like carries like Richter to the portal. Like Apocalypse is running. Everyone's taking the pictures and crowding around, and it's like the Whitney Houston's playing.
Cue the Whitney Houston theme song. Yes.
Richter, we're getting out of here. Okay, you know what? I'm glad they didn't put it because now I can infer whatever I want, and that is much better. It's much better than what they could ever do. Good times.
Good times. But that concludes this issue of Excalibur. Danny, what did you think?
It was a good X-Men issue in general, just of the Dawn of X series, but it was not top-notch for Excalibur. I feel like the other Excalibur issues were better. This one was kind of more of a lull, but it was still good. Still better than Fallen Angels or any of that other stuff. And I had fun. I laughed. There were moments where I was like, oh, cool, and like intrigued, but still probably the weakest of the Excalibur, I could say, arguably.
I agree. It's definitely... It's the writing of the characters too, I felt, because the artwork was on point. I loved all of the panels. I love the, like how you mentioned, the kind of contrast between we get Brian looking up at Shogo, and then later Brian looking down at everyone, which is really cool. But the writing, especially what they did with Betsy in this issue, I don't know if they're just trying to make her kind of. I mean, she was kind of like her powers were like failing, and she was probably not focused. So I guess they're trying to get to the point that she's kind of struggling a little bit, but just her writing where she's just like, my beautiful baby boy, brother boy. Oh
no. So sad. What have you done to him?
What have you done?
Yeah,
it
seems like she's like kind of starting to fracture a little bit, but I mean, it doesn't feel organic. It almost feels like kind of out of character for her. Because I've seen how she handles breakdowns and things like that. So she has kind of a natural progression towards those types of moments and how she handles it. But she also doesn't tend to lose her cool like that. So it was really weird seeing it portrayed in such a way. The writing narrative seems also a little repetitive because it feels like the stuff that they kind of leaned on again in this issue was already hammed up in the last 2 issues before. So it's like the narrative with Gambit's objections, Jubilee's objections, Brian's objections about between him and Betsy. Like it's like, okay, we get that. Let's get some progression on it. Like this fight seems like it happened already. Like the clash between her and Brian, and then the immediate escape. Like they did that. They fought and then they escaped from each other. Yeah, exactly.
First issue.
This literally just happened. It's like they did it again, and then no resolve. Like this would have been the time for a resolve, like a progression, like a big one. Instead, it was like we're still gathering up more of the pieces, like the Pete Wisdom stuff and the Richter stuff. That could have been done in last issue or the issue before that. That could have been tailored in. It was small. They could have made it just like a book note. Yeah. You could have built all these characters together. I think I would. I think you could have condensed this issue and half of last issue and all of the first issue together in one just like main issue that you could have just quickly knotted all this and had it like a heist build up where you're just getting everyone together, bringing back the old Excalibur crew. All of like the pieces are aligning, but there's just they spent so much time on exposition that they have now had to go back and like rehash a lot of plot points by having the dialogue do the work, and the dialogue is just not able to carry the load.
Yeah, there's a lot of retreading of water. Felt like they were saying, hearing a lot of that. You there?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I lost you for a second.
You were like real quiet and you like muffled out a little bit.
Oh weird. What was I saying? Sorry.
We were saying the dialogue wasn't carrying it heavy enough because of it just kind of felt weak and phoned in. Like they were just recreating the old issues they set up in the previous issues.
Yes, I'm hoping there's a bigger point on the future, but like you said, we could have easily taken out that fight and sprinkled in a little bit of kind of like what's going on with Richter and Apocalypse and some of the dialogue between our main cast throughout a separate issue, you know.
Or easily, yeah.
And is it just I can't confirm this, but is Morgan Le Fay in a different outfit in every scene?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure in every issue she's in a different outfit, but I don't think every scene she's in a different outfit. Let me look at this one real quick. Just peeking real fast. No, she's got the same black one as she had in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe every issue she might have a different outfit. I remember her, I think, having something lighter in the first issue, but I may be wrong. I might be remembering someone else. Because there were a lot of, like, different characters that were kind of in a similar build as her that were wearing fancy robes and gowns and things like that.
Yeah. Let me think. I do love the artwork. Any other what's your highlight of this issue?
The Apocalypse throwing back the cover to his crate, to Richter's crate.
Like just
the lid, like delid that crate. He's like, "Get the fuck up, Richter! Apocalypse! I'm here to tell you we're gonna do shit. Wake up! You're my new best friend, buddy. We're going to the zoo." And I just want to picture him carrying him off to the portal. Richter's like, "All right, man. We go to that party I heard about." That was probably my high. There wasn't like a defined low, but overall there were some. My one critique, like I said, of the artwork was that part with his hand. Like that was the one part where it was kind of funny, but everything else was pretty spot on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. It's good stuff. Pete Wisdom, always good to see hot knives.
What was your standout point, though?
I'm gonna say that panel of them dropping in, dropping down on the knights,
Oh yeah,
attacking Camelot. I thought that was pretty awesome. I love the artwork again, minus that stupid ass helmet.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that's the problem with all of this. That's just the character design in general. Can't help that. They've already kind of set that into stone and screwed themselves. But whatever.
Yeah, I wonder how long we're gonna see Betsy mantle take the mantle of Captain Britain.
Well, I can imagine this story is going to have some sort of conclusion where that gets addressed at the end, but I don't necessarily see it being something as like, oh, well, just it's business as usual. We're going to go right back to normal Captain Britain. I imagine there's going to be long-lasting changes that come from this that impact her character. Seeing as Psylocke is now just Psylocke.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can't go back on her old heels.
She's just all like, I'm out of one body. I gotta go take another person's identity.
Yeah. Betsy can't do her own thing.
God, Betsy, she's like codependent with mutant powers.
It's just like a sibling to do something because another one did. I wanted to be Captain Britain too. Mom! Let your sister play Captain Britain. But Ma.
That is great. But that will conclude this issue of Excalibur. Next week, we are going into New Mutants issue number 3. That should be just a romp, a good old romp.
Tomfoolery for all.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll do it for us this week. I'm Kyle. I'm with Danny. Follow us on Instagram and be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, folks, the robots will kill you, probably in your sleep too. So
it's easier that way.
Yeah. So
you're more vulnerable.
Don't sleep ever again.
Wise words.
Yes. See you next week.